Hello and welcome to Snowdonia for the Snowman Triathlon 2013, the last in a series of 3 races that included the Slateman, the Plas y Sandman and now the Snowman, and this is as tough as any triathlon in Britain. Breathtaking views all around and terrain that will sap the energy from the fittest legs. On this occasion, there's no snow on the Snowdonia mountains, but the weather conditions are brutal. The winds are high, it's misty on the top of the peaks. And the swim in the lake is going to be as rough as it was in the sea for the Sandman. This is a real test to end the season, and one which Phil Murphy will relish, one of the men who's in contention for the series.
I just love the terrain, and to race around here, I think some of these races in this series are some of the best races in the UK.
It's challenging, it's got a lot of atmosphere, it's just a little bit different.
It's beautiful. As soon as you drive into Wales, every time I drove in with a friend last night, and as soon as you drive in, you wonder why you left.
The races themselves are great because they're in such amazing locations. I mean, it's quite phenomenal. I mean, I do quite a lot of triathlons, and I always come back to these ones in Wales because they're amazing.
Location, location, location. Race organiser Tim Lloyd has got it absolutely right.
I've got to be honest, this is my favourite of all 3. This is the Snowman Triathlon. We're based here at Plas y Brenin in Capel. This is the national mountain centre for the whole of the UK. And you know, there's a reason for that, and that is because we're right in the heart of the mountains here of Snowdonia.
Well, let's have a look at the course for today. The swim in Llynau Mynbyr, and then they set out on the roads, and this is a really tough bike ride. Down Nant Gwynant, they head to Bedgellet, and then up the wall to Ryd and Blaenau, over the Crimea Pass to Betis, and then back to Capel Curig, where they'll switch to the run. And this is where it really gets tough. The ascent of Moel Siabod and the race to the bottom that could determine today's winner. Jane Hansen will certainly fancy her chances of taking victory. She's fresh from her victory at the Sandman event 2 weeks ago, and she could be in line for taking the series as well.
I didn't actually even realise that until last night. Yeah, I won the Sandman a couple of weeks ago, which was fabulous, nice and flat. So as I said, we'll see. Not really my terrain, but you know, I'm going to give it a go. Do you know what? This will be my second Phil run ever. The first one I actually entered by mistake. So we'll see, we'll see. Quite confident, yeah, absolutely. You've got to be, haven't you?
Rhian Roxburgh, who won the Slateman, she finished second in the Sandman. What can she do today?
A bit scared of the mountain, to be honest. Don't do mountains, so yeah. I'm excited about the race, so I'm looking forward to the swim and the bike, and then I think it might be a bit of a sufferfest on that mountain, to be honest.
Roxburgh not talking too positively at the start of the race. There's a man, Ewan Brown, who should be feeling good. He won this event last year with a brilliant performance on the hill.
Apprehensive as usual. You don't know what these mountains are going to throw at you and how you're going to feel, but it's always the same. So once you get out there, all the weight's lifted, you get on with it. So the mountain run's amazing. If you can deal with it, you'll do well. If not, then you won't. Put it that way. So if you enjoy the downs, it's technical, so you can make up a lot of time, and it's a different world up there than a flat 10k run.
Well, anyone who saw the action at the Sandman will remember the duel between Brown and Brook. Brown coming through halfway through the run, but he was outdone by Peter Brook in the closing stages.
It's probably one of the toughest races of the year, I think. They've saved the best till last. So in a kind of sick, strange way, yeah, it's going to be a brilliant day. Really tough routes, tough bike, an incredibly tough run. So yeah, kind of looking forward to it.
A very different swim from last time round. We're in the lake, it's cold, it's windy, and the first part of the swim straight into the wind, so it might be difficult to make a break. Away they go, and we're expecting to see 4 or 5 men make the break. There are a couple of very good female swimmers in the group as well. Roxburgh we know all about, and there's Christine Johnson, who's an outstanding swimmer, and may well be up the front of the field as well. Well, let's just remind you of the distances: 750 metres in the water. That should be over fairly quickly. 69 kilometres on the bike, and then a 9-kilometre run to finish. Sounds short, but it's brutal. One or two starting to make a move at the front of the field. Rianne Roxburgh is up there. Christine Johnson also in there. Not a bad swim so far from Ewan Brown.
The swim here is a bit shorter than a lot of other races, Olympic particularly. So a matter of doing the swim and not losing too much time on that, or gaining a little bit of time over other people. Just got to get through it, get on the bike.
We know Roxburgh's not looking forward to the mountain, but she always excels in the water.
Ordinarily it'd be a lot colder than today, so we're quite lucky because the weather's, temperate, isn't it? It's almost tropical.
750 metres completed, and for the first time I can remember, the front two swimmers are both women. First out of the water is Christine Johnson from Sleeker Swim Triathlon Racing. Her time just over 11 minutes. We'll get an exact time in just a moment. Off come the goggles. She doesn't need to worry about that. Someone will pick them up. Getting in and out of T1 now her priority, and making sure that she holds on to the lead that she's gained over Rianne Roxburgh. Well, that's a wonderful performance from her. She's going to be the first to face the wind on the bike. Here comes Roxburgh, second out overall. And with someone to chase, should be through the transition in under a minute if their drills are nice and slick. So much time to be won and lost at this stage of the race. And making a mistake of putting your helmet on too early is one way to throw away valuable seconds. Well, that's a shame. 3, 4, 5 seconds given away, and the men start to come out of the water now. Phil Murphy's there. Rob Bridges is well up. Callum Hughes, good position from him coming out of the water. Ewan Brown down in around 4th or 5th position in the men's event at the moment. Very tightly locked with Peter Brook. So those two look as though they're going to have a duel. Here is Ewan Brown on with a helmet. The number, of course, going on the back for the bike ride. And just on the other side of the bar, Peter Brook. Jane Hansen, the series leader, and finding herself in 3rd position in the women's event. Here comes Roxburgh, and going past Johnson as if she's absolutely static. Good riding from Roxburgh in the early stages. And she needs as much of a lead over Jane Hansen as she can get, because the brutal run of Moel Siabod still to come here in the Snowman Triathlon. Welcome back to the Snowman Triathlon 2013, a swim which was dominated by 2 women, Christine Johnson and Rianne Roxburgh, coming out 1 and 2, and those two still in the lead out on the bike. A 69-kilometre course to be negotiated before they finish with a mountain run. An early burst from Roxburgh has seen her go from 2nd into 1st position.
The bike, it's a lovely route. I went and did it last week just to familiarise myself with it. Some lovely steep, sharp climbs, and then the Crimea Pass, which, yeah, it's a bit of a killer, isn't it? But lovely, you can stop and look at the scenery should you want to.
Well dressed against the elements. Roxburgh trying to focus on the job in hand. Jane Hansen once again has someone to chase down, and that's what she's so good at. The leading men starting to make their mark. Bridges goes past Roxburgh and followed closely by Ewan Brown, the defending champion.
The bike here, well, we all know the course. It's hilly, it's long. It's windy. Not going to leave a lot left in the tank.
Well, one or two surprises. Roxburgh has now been overtaken, not by Hansen, but Rebecca Slack has gone through, and Suzetta Guerini also making a mark. There's Rebecca Slack, the leading woman in the race now, and seems to be pushing well out on the road. Slack, Guerini, Roxburgh, Hansen, the order in the women's race. That might suggest that Roxburgh's not feeling 100%. Here's a man who looks very good indeed, Peter Brook. Second in the Sandman a fortnight ago, third in this event last year. Will he be able to improve on that position? He's got some good company. Tony Cullen, the outstanding cyclist, is there again. Tony, I think, taking it a little easier on the bike in the early stages. Needs to save something for the run at the end of the race.
I can't just go off like a lunatic on the bike and hope to hold it for 2 hours. So I really am going to. The plan is really not to lose too much in the swim, and be patient and make my way up towards the front end on the bike, and make some decisions depending on how the race is panning out.
It's going according to plan for Cullen at the moment, but will he try and break away from this group? And the longer the leading men stay together, the more it suits the runners. And Ewan Brown springs to mind.
There's a few people showed how strong they were on the bike last week, Tony and Peter Brook. So if they can not lose too much time on them on the bike and be in touch on the run, then and the legs are in reasonable shape, then. But if we knew who was going to win, we wouldn't be racing.
Some extremely fast sections, some technical riding as well. But the parts of the bike ride that they'll remember are the steep uphills, and here they go. Peter Brook taking full advantage of the Crimea Pass, and he's broken clear of his main rival Ewan Brown, and he's not holding back on the downhills. 50, 60 miles an hour as he heads back towards the end of the bike ride. 69 kilometres in all. Every minute's going to be crucial for Peter Brook when it comes to the final run. Past the ugly house and into T2, he needs to save as much time here as possible. And this is where he needs to think about his tactics for the run.
It's a proper fell runner's descent. It's big drops, big bits of stone and rock you've got to jump over. So if you know how to fell run and descend, you'll make up a ton of time. So I think even if you get to the top of the mountain first, you can't have it in the bag, because if somebody's descending like a madman behind you, they'll take minutes out of you.
So Peter Brook's in a very good position to be the first man to the top, but as he says, that counts for nothing. Tony Cullen also coming into T2, and Ewan Brown on the right of your screen, the man to watch after a brilliant run last year.
Get to the end of the bike in one piece and then see what you've got left for the mountain. I think it doesn't matter what position I'm in. No one's safe.
So the leading men sorting themselves out in T2. Peter Brook is already on the climb, and it's relentless from the go. Nice short steps. Hopefully the legs will hold out. And they're starting to overtake some of the athletes who've entered into the sprint competition. Roughly half the distance of the full course. And a challenge certainly for most. Bridges, well, he's kept a low profile, but he's done nothing wrong so far and finds himself coming out of T2 ahead of Ewan Brown. And Brown's got plenty of supporters here. What a race we have in store over the final leg. The leading women, Suzetta Guerini's had a good bike ride, finds herself first out onto the run. She'll be followed by Jane Hansen. We know what she can do on sand dunes. What can she do on the mountains for real? The familiar choppy style of Peter Brook. Still smiling, so he must be feeling okay. Here comes Ewan Brown. He's gone past Bridges, he's gone past Cullen, not managed to shake off Bridges quite yet. That could be an interesting duel as this race goes on. But Ewan Brown's real strength is on the way down, and that's where he can certainly take half a minute out of anyone else. Brenin looking very stylish at the start of the run, unaware that Jane Hansen is coming up behind her, and she's coming up very fast indeed. Hansen with her eye on the lead, Roxburgh with her eye on a hot shower. She's called it a day. That's a real shame as far as the women's race is concerned.
Decided not to do the run. I just haven't got it in me today. I've been a bit poorly on the bike, so I'm just a bit weak. So I can't do it. I feel a bit gutted for, I've never quit before, so I feel a bit of a loser. I feel weak, so I know going up there would just devastate me, so I think mentally more than anything.
Well, at least she's honest, and I think it's fair to say that she's done the right thing. It's much harder to pull out than it is to keep going and damage the body. Those who do keep going are going to find the conditions getting worse and worse as they approach the summit of the mountain. Tony Cullen reduced to a walk early on. And the tougher the conditions get, the more Jane Hansen seems to enjoy it. She goes past Rebecca Slack, Guarini just behind them, so it's still fairly tight in the women's event, but there's no doubt that Jane Hansen is moving best of all and could be heading for her second victory. Peter Brook also hungry to make up for the fact that he missed out on victory in the Sandman. First to the summit, and now he'll find out exactly how much time he's got over Ewan Brown, who doesn't waste any time at the top. Away he goes, very agile on the slippery rocks. Bridges in third. Tony Cullen has done well to hang on to Bridges on the ascent. And Murphy is the fifth man to the top, one of those who's in contention for the series title, but he must catch Bridges to achieve that. And once again, Jane Hansen is right up there in the overall field. Just getting news that Peter Brook has a minute's lead, 1 minute lead at the top of the mountain, and now he heads down towards the back. Can he hold on to it? This man is flying, really relaxed running. Well, this is a skill that not many runners have. The ability to let the body go and know that the feet are going to keep up. Tony Cullen, a little bit unfortunate there, forced off the track. He might be investing in a new pair of soles come the end of this race. Here comes the leader in the sprint event, Hugh Brassington, who won the Slateman sprint, he won the Sandman sprint, and he wraps up the season with a Snowman sprint title as well.
Probably the toughest one. Yeah, definitely the toughest one. The bike is much longer than the doing 34 kilometres as opposed to 20 and 19 on the Sandman. So it's the hardest bike and probably the hardest run as well. Moel Siabod's not a stroll in the park, as it's not what your average triathlon's made up of.
Well, let's hope he steps it up to the full distance next year and takes on men like Ewan Brown. Ewan Brown, incidentally, has gone past Peter Brook, who was leading. Peter Brook looking a little bit laboured on the way down the hill. I can't see the order being reversed again as it was in the Sandman event. Ewan Brown surely has his second successive Snowman title in the bag. He's still running very, very well, despite the fact that he's had a 69-kilometre bike ride and the mountain to ascend and descend. He cruises to victory. Well, he's a spent force, but my goodness, he dug deep this time. I get the feeling he wanted that victory more than anything. Peter Brook, not far off the pace. A minute ahead at the top, a minute behind at the bottom.
That was an incredible race. That's one of the best races I've ever done. From the 2-foot high waves on that swim to the cat and mouse on the bike ride, and then all out on the run. It's incredible.
Even the winner took a tumble on the way down. There'll be a few scratches around.
I knew that Ewan could descend like an absolute madman. I think he left his brain at the top of the mountain, because I had a minute on him or so at the top, and I thought, minute, if I go hard on the descent, I'll keep that. And I just at the bottom, just at the end of the technical bit, he caught me.
Well done to Tony Cullen, 4th in the Sandman. He's on the podium this time round, 3rd position.
I'm absolutely over the moon with that. That was everything I had, and that's all you can give, and that's everything I had that today. Amazing, what a view. I got a chance to look at the view for a change, because I was doing that much walking up that hill. I got a chance to have a look around.
So let's have a look at the results in the men's race. Ewan Brown defends his title after a brilliant performance on the downhill. Peter Brooks 2nd, as he was 2 weeks ago in the Sandman. Tony Cullen 3rd, and Rob Bridges in 4th place takes the series title, just as Jane Hansen will do if she holds on to 1st place. And it doesn't look as though, well, I was going to say no one can stop her but herself. A little stumble, but she is made of nails, and that won't bother her. Great running. She cancelled a flight to Barcelona to take part in this race, and I think she'll be glad she did so. Good performance from Rebecca Slack. She's hung on in there, put in a good bike ride, and she's in 2nd place in the women's event at the moment. Brenin lying in 3rd. Jane Hansen a long, long way ahead despite that stumble. Someone who took 20 years off from training, reintroduced herself to running in 2010 at the London Marathon, and she's gone from strength to strength since then. What a great performance from her.
Thank you.
Well,
oh my goodness me. Oh, look, I forgot my crampons. Oh, it's crazy up there. Whew. But it is fun, in a weird kind of way.
It's an acquired taste. Rebecca Slack dug deep, performed really well on the bike, and that really putting herself in a position to claim 2nd in the women's event.
It was absolutely brilliant. I've never known a longer 9k run though, because it was about a 6k walk, I think. I can't believe there's anywhere in the world that can offer a more beautiful bike leg. You know, it's just stunning.
Brenin delighted to finish in 3rd position. She's delighted to finish at all. Well done to her. So, the top women look like this. Jane Hansen, a comfortable win, 7 minutes clear of Slack in the end. Suzette Guarini fighting hard to hold off Anna Bartlett on the way down. And with that win, Hansen taking the series as well as the day. And what a series it's been, with 3 quite unique races. The Slateman in Llanberis, known for the steep climbs through the quarries. The Anglesey Sandman, which is all about sun, sea, and not surprisingly, sand. And then the Snowman to wrap it up. Well, we're already looking forward to next year's racing, and we hope to see you there. Goodbye for now.